Back on a hump day. It is Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen, and you are locked and loaded onto the hottest show in the streets, the best form of Crimson Tide football news, notes, and information you will find anywhere. You're live on In My Own Words, the podcast with yours truly, Stephen Smith, Stephen M. Smith, that being, of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. And as always, each and every time, we encourage you to drop that thumbs up, give a like on the show, and hit the subscribe button. That tells us at TDA to continue supplying you, providing you the best in news, notes, information, and content on your Crimson Tide. And as always, it's because of you, the fans, that we are over 8,000. That's right, over 8,000 subscribers strong on YouTube. So continue to help us grow, build the channel, network, and brand. Got a great segment or slate of topics for you on this evening. We'll start this off by Alabama making it official with Charlie Strong. He's here. Charlie Strong on the coaching staff as a defensive analyst. I'll dive into what an analyst actually does. Now, a lot of people know what an analyst actually does. From there, we'll touch on what Charlie Strong looks to do in terms of helping out the linebackers, Dylan Moses, Joshua McMillan, Shane Lee, Christian Harris, the whole crew there. And from there, we'll look at some Heisman odds in terms of one Mac Jones. Can Mac Jones be the first quarterback in the history of Alabama football to win the Heisman Trophy? We'll dive into that as well. Also, your phone calls, thoughts, questions, and concerns. We'll get to all of that here on today's show. But to start off with a few slight updates here, Ryan Newman, the NASCAR driver that had the car crash at the Daytona 500, checked out of the hospital this morning. He was treated, checked out of the hospital, doing well. Happy to hear that from Ryan Newman. From there, Alabama football fans, set your calendars. The first day of spring ball, March 13th, Friday, March 13th, first day of spring football, and Steve Sarkisian, Alabama offensive coordinator, interviewed for the job at Colorado today. Will he take the job? Remains to be seen. But we dive into the first topic of conversation, that being one Charlie Strong. Crimson Tide made it official on Tuesday, bringing him in, hiring him onto the staff as a defensive analyst, a big deal. The 59-year-old of whom was offered the same position at the University of Florida under Dan Mullen, decides to turn that down and take to the Crimson Tide as an analyst. And I mentioned on a prior show that when somebody has been exposed to being a head coach or exposed to being a defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator, they don't really tend to backtrack and reach down to take an analyst job unless it's at one of the premier programs in college football. And when you look at the top three programs in the game right now, you would say Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, those three. So Charlie Strong agreeing to be the defensive analyst for the Crimson Tide. And for a lot of people out there, you don't quite understand what an analyst does, what's their role, what's their task, what makes them special in terms of particular programs. And I'm going to dive into what entails or what goes into being a defensive analyst. So first and foremost here for Charlie Strong, defensive analysts, they handle all the inventory behind the scenes. So what they do, they go through the paperwork, they check the analysis, they run the data, they kind of put together different tendencies, they watch a whole lot of film. They go in the film room, they break down film, they put clips together, and they try to figure out what are the tendencies of, different opponents? If this opponent likes to pass the ball more, if they like to run the ball more, do they like to throw different post patterns in these situations, different run plays in these situations? What are their favorite plays on third down? What's their favorite plays on first down, second down? What do they like to run in the red zone? It's the analyst's job to kind of watch the tape, study the game film, and kind of put together the different tendencies that the opposition does. And once those tendencies are put together, they go in the different meeting rooms whether it's different player personnel meeting rooms or the main coach's meeting room. They'll go in there, they'll sit down, they'll pitch suggestions, they'll put ideas up on the blackboard, and they may say, okay, guys, this particular team, 95% of the time, likes to run slant on first down. So since they like to run slant on first down, let's throw in this cover 1 or this cover 2 or cover 0 or what have you to offset that. Or if this team likes to go with not a lot of max protection on this particular down, I think we should blitz here. If we blitz here, come off the A gap, B gap, C gap, bang, we have a better chance of attacking their quarterback or attacking their running back or creating a negative play and or a turnover. So the defensive analysts, they handle a lot of the inventory. They run a lot of analysis. They take care of all of that data, and they put together kind of the different tendencies to where you can offset the opposing team and bring them into, well, bring the data, the information into the meeting room. When I look at analysts, either offensive or defensive, I kind of equate that role to executive producers in music, right? So in music, the song is the product. The song's the product. The song is the big deal, whether it's rap, R&B, gospel, whatever genre you're in, the song is the product. And then the face of that product, the song, is the actual recording artist. You have the producers that make the beats, but the executive producer, he's the guy, or that person is the individual behind the scene that makes sure that the lyrics are tight, the song flows, the beat is smooth, it catches the ear, and then it makes sure if there's a music video for this particular song, for this project, you got the fly honeys in the video, you've got the props that look good, everything is in order. Like, the executive producer's job is to make sure when this product hits the streets, it's a banger. I got a quadruple platinum sound here. I got a potential Grammy Award winning song / music video. That's the executive producer's job. They're making sure when this final product hits the stores, when this final product hits the television screen, we got the real deal thing. So when you look at this in the scope of Alabama football, the product is the Alabama defense, the players on the field. Those players, that's the product. The face of that product, of course, is Pete Golding. The guy behind the scenes doing his Dr. Dre thing, that would be Charlie Strong. He's making sure everything is in order, that this piece is in pocket, that piece is in pocket. We got this tendency right here to offset that offense. We got this tendency right here if they choose to switch something up. Charlie Strong is in the background putting all the pieces in play to make sure that the Alabama defense runs like a well-oiled machine. And that's kind of what, an analyst does. And for a lot of people, you wonder at times when you look at Charlie Strong, you think, well, why would he kind of put himself in a situation to be a defensive analyst? He has more so of a highly profiled status than that. Why couldn't Alabama get him as a defensive coordinator? Or why couldn't Alabama get him as a on-field coach, a positional coach? Why does he have to be an analyst? That doesn't really make sense to me. In the end-all, be-all spectrum of things, the biggest thing is that Charlie Strong is here. That's the biggest thing. The most important thing, he's on staff, he's in the program, and he's helping the program be able to get back to being feared, get back to being dominant on defense. And I mentioned this before, Pete Golding is not the worst thing ever. I understand he's young. I understand, last year him calling the plays was a new thing for him, him being the primary play caller at the most pressurized program in college football. Alabama is the most pressurized program in the sport. When you do something at Alabama that's not at tip-top shape, it gets magnified times 100 because it's Alabama. So, yes, it was not the greatest showing from Pete Golding in year one, but there's the only place he can go from that is up, people. He's going to improve. He's going to get better. He's going to work his tail off. And what better way for him to work his tail off than to give him somebody like a Charlie Strong where he can sit down with Coach Strong. He can pull out a pen and paper. And I'm hoping that Pete Golding pulls out that pen and paper or pulls out that recorder or goes into a meeting room with Coach Strong and says, man, help me out here. How did you become so good calling defenses? How did you become a two-time national champion? How were you able to strategize so well? I'm new at this. I'm young at this. I haven't done this consistently in a big-time Power 5 college football program known as Alabama. You were able to do it, Charlie, in a Power 5 program known as the Florida Gators. I get it. It was back in 2006. I get it. It was back in 2008. But, Charlie, you showed us young cats how to get it done. So, Charlie, teach me. What do I need to do to improve, to get better in this phase of the ball game? And I'm pretty sure Pete Golding is having a pen and paper, having that recorder right now, learning from Charlie Strong, because Pete has value. He has value. He has potential. He has the means to get better and take that next step. He just needs to have that guidance and that person to kind of show him what it takes to have the confidence to structure a defense, or have the wherewithal, the knowledge to know when do I do this, or when do I go into coverage, or when do I blitz, or when do I stack the box up against the run, or when do I substitute correctly. And having a guy behind the scenes like a Charlie Strong helps out well with that. So for people out there that just had some issues or a lack of understanding on what an analyst is, no, the analysts do not handle the coffee runs. No, the analysts are not in charge of picking up Nick Saban's dry cleaning. No, the analysts are not in charge of making sure Nick Saban's Mercedes gets washed every day. No, the analyst's job is not making sure that Miss Terry, picks up the grandchildren from school. That's not what the analyst's job entails. I know what you're thinking. You thought the analyst's job was making sure when, Coach Saban takes the freshman players or the upperclassmen on his boat every summer, that the analyst has to put the gas in the boat. No, that is not their job. The job of a defensive analyst or an offensive analyst or an analyst in general, you are watching a ton of film. You are breaking down that film. You are putting together data analytics from the film to help out your team in ways to where you can offset the opposition. And you are bringing that film, or you are bringing the information to the player meetings, to the coaches meetings, to the team meetings, and you are setting up the information on a board to figure out how can we make this team more productive, more efficient, more effective. So that's what a defensive analyst does. Kind of like I mentioned, like a Dr. Dre behind the scenes, making sure that music product is on the up and up. And something that a lot of people don't know is two of the more coveted positions at the University of Alabama, graduate assistants and analysts. Put a little wrinkle in your brain there. A lot of y'all thought that the most coveted spots on the Crimson Tide's coaching staff would be the coordinator positions or the position coach spots. No, most of the times, the people that get called up to big-time roles from Alabama, from Nick Saban's staff, just so happen to be graduate assistants and analysts. It's the big-time, coaching roles out there that pick up the phone and go, hey, Nick Saban, I see you got this nice young man as a GA on your staff. Tell me about him. What makes him pop? What makes him special? What makes the young man tick? What makes him unique? I would love to have that brother on my staff. Hey, tell him, hey, if you want to move him up, if you want to move up to the east side and get you that piece of the pie like the Jeffersons, hey, we got you right here. Or he'll do the same thing for the analysts. Hey, Nick, that analyst you got on staff, man, I love that guy. He helping out your defense. How has he made your defense so good? Tell him to pick up the phone, baby. I'm right here. Have him come over here. We'll interview him. and bring that analyst right on in here. So the analyst and the GA's coveted positions. But Charlie Strong at the University of Alabama, it's been made official, was made official via ESPN as of Tuesday. He is with the program. But we take our first break here on In My Own Words, the podcast. Don't touch that dial, people. When we get back, we go to your phone calls right after this.
Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care. In support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Make sure to subscribe before it's too late and get our new freshly printed end of the year magazine issue. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
Thank you for watching Touchdown Alabama Magazine's YouTube channel. To continue to get the best in Alabama football content, subscribe here and turn on your notifications to stay connected with the hottest shows covering your Crimson Tide.